Shalom, shalom. This is Moreh, Amire Ryter, Moreh of Torah Culture Assembly, and I just wanted to talk to you real briefly about something that's been on my heart, something that's been on my mind during this dead season. You know, while this country celebrates the new year, we know, we of Hebrew descent who understand our heritage, our lineage from the line of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that the Bible speaks of. We know that this is indeed the dead season and the new year has not yet begun. But what are we doing in this dead season? We should be cultivating our soil, us. We should be cultivating ourselves, getting us ready to bring forth life, getting ready to bring forth fruit and growth once the new year actually rolls around. So what I want to do is I want to speak briefly about conflicts, and I want to talk about this one scripture real quick. Let me pull it up. It's Proverbs 18:19, and it reads, "A brother offended is harder to be won than a strong city, and their contentions are like the bars of a castle." Let me read that first part again, because that's what I want to focus on. A brother offended is harder to be won than a strong city, and their contentions are like the bars of a castle. Now, the question should be asked is, why is a person offended so hard? Excuse me, having some issues. Okay. The question should be asked is, why is a person offended so hard to be won? Right? So there are multiple reasons why a person can be hard to be won after they've been offended. But one of those reasons, and I'm gonna give a few examples. I'm gonna give an example from my personal life things. I like to give examples from my personal life just to let you know, hey, I'm being transparent. There's nothing that I'm saying to you that I either haven't gone through or is going through or will go through. But really for me, I mean, that's really for you all. For me, it's always something that I have gone through, because now I'm able to see it from a different dimension or a different dynamic, because I've already experienced it. It's no longer theory for me. It's something that I understand and I can teach on and elaborate on. And once you're able to teach on something, that's when you know you understand it, right? So some of the reasons why people can be offended is, here's one thing. You ever been in an argument with someone and you going back and forth and they saying this and you saying that and y'all just bumping heads and y'all not seeing eye to eye on nothing, right? And then so the argument is, there's no clear-cut winner. You feel you won, they feel they won. But both of y'all just wanted to get y'all point across. So you on your drive home, or you hang up the phone, or whatever the case may be, and you thinking about all these things, because it always happens like this. You think about all these things that you could have said. Oh yeah, I could have got with this. I could have got with this. I could have said this. And you got these examples. You got these witty comebacks. You got all of these things that you begin to think about that you could have said that could have really proved your point even better than what you think you already did. So what you didn't do is then you begin to store these things and you rehearse these things and you begin to rehearse arguments over and over, so that the next time you speak to this person, you know in advance what you're going to say to them. What's the problem there? The problem there is, if you get to that point, which a lot of us do, unfortunately, if you get to that point, you are no longer seeking resolution. You have now created a wall or bars for a castle. Like, it's hard to get in. It's hard to get to you. It's hard to get through to you. Understand that. It's hard to get through to you because you have now placed these bars up. And so I'm going to elaborate why this is such a problem later. This is the first part of the problem. You have now created this barrier that now people have to penetrate because you have been offended. So you're no longer seeking resolution. You're only seeking to get your point of view across and to win the argument. But anytime we experience conflict, we should be seeking resolution. We should be seeking reconciliation. How do we get past where we are and get to the next step? How do we continue to progress? But no, that's not how we respond. And that's a problem. See, one time I got into it with someone, and here's an example from my life. One time I got into it with someone, and I have this notepad on my phone. And on this notepad, I have I jot down things that come to my mind throughout the day, whether it's lesson ideas, things that need to get done, poetry or rap lyrics, or whatever the case may be. But in this scenario, because I have just recently been in an argument with someone, they're saying things when you have those full-blown conversations in your head. Because I know that many of us have had those conversations where we going back and forth, and we've won this argument like 10 times already in our head. Like we know what they're gonna say, and we already got our responses. So what I start doing is I start jotting down things that I'm gonna say, things that I'm gonna bring up the next time I talk to this person, and all of these things like this. The problem with that is I'm premeditating my answers without actually knowing how they're even going to respond. They may approach a situation in a much more humble manner after the argument. But we, because of the way that we are responding to things, we're responding incorrectly. We are approaching it with our guns loaded, ready to take shots, ready to do whatever we got to do, ready to get our hands dirty, just to make sure that we win this argument. We get our point across. We gonna be hard. You gonna know where we stand. But by doing this, and what I did when I was jotting down these notes and stuff like that, and rehearsing these answers and having this conversation and this dialogue in my head, and I won this argument already. And I already know I'm right because I already know what your answers are. And I know what you're gonna say before you say it. I think I'm a prophet at this point. I think I'm a prophet. That's not what I realized at the time, but I'm just saying, like, I feel like I'm a prophet. I already know what you're gonna say. But by doing this, whether it's me doing it or whether it's someone else doing it, it blocks a person's ability to reason. So this is the problem. It blocks their ability to reason. It blocks their ability to understand and to hear logic. It blocks the ability to be rational, because you already believe you know what they're going to say, and you already believe that they're wrong. So how can you rationalize? How can you be rationalized with when your whole duty at this point is just to go back and forth, is just to fight? You should always be seeking resolution. If you're not seeking resolution, you got to step back and say, what are you doing? See, we be so, you know how people get when they face to face, like boxing matches, you know, when they do the weigh-in and they're nose to nose and they're just staring at each other and they're looking at each other in their eyes and stuff like that, and they're just peering through each other's soul. That's all fine and dandy if you're about to actually have a boxing match. But if you're actually trying to fix a conflict, that doesn't work. Imagine looking at a picture and you're standing so close to the picture that the only thing you can focus on is a couple hues, a couple reds, blues, maybe some greens here and there. It's all within this very small confined area, and that's all you're focusing on. That's all you can see. So that's all you're talking about. That's where your mind is. All you see is red, blue, and green, and nothing else, because you haven't stepped back to look at the big picture. You can't see clear because you have not stepped out of the position of aggression and stepped back and looked at the picture in its entirety, right? To see what's actually there. There's so many more colors than the red, blues, and greens. There's some whites, there's some yellows, there's some blacks, there's some browns, there's some mixed hues in there. But all you're focused on is the red, blue, and green. We gotta get out of this habit and out of this notion that how we feel is all that matters. How does the other person feel? Right? How does the other person feel? Did you do everything that you were supposed to do to make sure that this conflict was avoided? If not, then you have to bear some responsibility in that as well. And that helps you. That's a humble thing to do, because it helps you step back. That's part of stepping back. Once you begin to take responsibility, that's the first phase. Your feet won't move to step away from that picture until you begin to accept responsibility that, you know what, yeah, this person said this and that was wrong, or this person did this and that was wrong, and this was wrong, and yes, I may have been wrong, but I could have did this better. I could have did this better. I could have responded differently. I could have not said this. My tone could have been different. Or things leading up to that, I could have been more clear so that there was nothing that was no ambiguity there that can cause this offense, because the offense may have been caused an ambiguity where there's these ambiguous areas like these. I was speaking to an elder recently, and he mentioned to me something about yeah, this person crossed the line. And he said that and when he was speaking to him, he was like, what line are you talking about? Like, what line? Does this person know that this line exists? Like, we always talk about people crossing these imaginary lines. And I appreciate that, because that really resonated with me. It really spoke to being clear about what it is that you are trying to accomplish, what it is that you desire, what it is that your focus and your aim is. Because we do have these imaginary lines that we get offended with people crossing. They don't even know that the line exists. It's an invisible line. Have you clearly stated what the line is, and then that person crossed? You may have a little more weight to your argument. But if we're crossing these imaginary lines, or these lines that we move where the line is, so the line may be further back, but because we're getting upset, we move the line up a little more so that they still don't know that the line is there. They still don't even know that the line exists, but they cross this imaginary line, and we get offended, and we take stuff out on them, or we decide to cut them off because they crossed an imaginary line. We have to seek resolution. We have to seek resolution. We got to do better than what it is that we're doing when it comes to dealing with each other, Israel. Or we're just going to keep spinning wheels. We got to respond different. I thank the Most High that I got a bunch of elders in my circle, who I can pull certain things from that will help me respond differently. Because it's the response that really makes all the difference. And you can't control what people do, you can't control what people say, but you can control how you respond to the things that people do and the things that people say. And when you are offended, no need to be like a fortified city. Go to the person and seek resolution. Seek reconciliation. Always leave that door open for reconciliation. But stop having these conversations with ourselves where we win in these arguments in our mind, because that does not bear fruit. That does not bear forth good fruit. It does not. We should be we should have a mindset that's strictly geared to resolve things. Resolve them. And by resolving them is acknowledging, yeah, okay, we got this issue, but we're not going to dwell on the issue. What do we need to do to move forward? All right? That's all I got for today. Peace and blessings to you, family. Let's make sure that we are really examining the way we respond to situations, the way we operate when we're upset, the way we act during and after conflict. Peace and blessings to you all. This is Moreh, Amire Ryter. Until next time, peace and shalom.